this vocal performance I've been doing on the new album is literally the first time where I'm happy about what I did. Like I never really,
Really? Huh.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. It sounds kind of weird. Like why will you spend so many years of your life on playing in a band, and every time when you go to the studio, you're not satisfied about your own performance? But I don't know. For some reason, I did that, and I was never really patient enough to learn to scream in a good way. And we were just touring all the time, so I guess I was just like going on the same routine. Like, yeah, I don't know. I guess in some way that just gave me the time to learn not to fuck up my voice when I'm screaming. So yeah,
That's interesting, man. I mean, you've been
yeah,
known for like, being a vocalist for 12 years now. And you're
yeah.
saying that you
I
kind
mean,
of like just figured it out
yeah.
within the last 10 years. Welcome to the 164th episode of the Cast That Ends Creation. I'm your host, Chris Deering. This is the show where I interview bands and public figures from the mathcore adjacent community. If you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and do all the things social. Every little bit helps. And feel free to join us every Sunday and Wednesday for the live cast where you can interact with the guests in real time or just hang out in the chat. You can also subscribe to this Twitch channel for just $5 to get access to the interviews before they hit YouTube and other streaming platforms, as well as get some exclusive emotes. You can also do that for free by attaching an Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. It's like taking $5 out of Jeff Bezos' pocket and putting it into mine. With that out of the way, let me introduce our guest today who dropped their new album, Aeternum, last Friday through Debomir Morty Productions. Welcome in, Filip of Hexis. How's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Dude, oh yeah, thank you for coming on. Did I say the album name correctly? I was kind of worried about that.
Yeah, I guess it's correct. I mean, sometimes I'm not even sure if I'm spelling all the titles correct, but yeah, I guess like Eternum, yeah,
Aeternum?
yeah,
Okay.
Latin Eternal, yeah.
Okay. So what do you do in Hexis exactly?
Um, I'm doing vocals, writing the lyrics, and then the music for the new album have been like me and two other guys writing that together, and then yeah, I do, I guess, all the booking stuff and a lot of other things around it. So yeah, it's quite a lot of time I'm putting into this band.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like the only constant in the band, right? Like the lineup is changing pretty consistently. Is that correct? You're like the
So
leader.
we are like two permanent members, me and the bass player, and have been like that for I would say maybe 4 or 5 years now. And then we have different people helping out along the way with different things like different touring lineups. And as I said before, we also had another guy on the new album. He have been like writing it with us, and he recorded the guitar. And then we had a drummer as well to record that part as well.
It's interesting that it's you as a vocalist and the bass player being like the main guys in the band, because it's usually like a guitarist or whatever that like
Yeah,
takes on the majority of like the music and stuff. So
yeah.
how do you find like that person playing guitar that meshes well with y'all? You know what I'm saying? Like has like a similar vibe as the other albums.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I actually feel this new album is quite different in the sound, and I mean, I think that's obviously because of new people being involved. But it's kind of like how to say it. Like, I mean, I have a lot of different ideas for riffs and stuff like that, but I don't know how to play guitar. So I guess some of the stuff you're hearing is kind of like me miming melodies, and then the guy who plays guitar have been translating that into real guitar riffs. And he also, he's really good at programming drums and all that. And me and a bass player don't know shit about that. So this guy have been like a huge help for helping us like doing this album and achieving with it what we wanted to. So
Okay.
yeah, shout out to Della. Check out his band Troller. It's really good as well.
What's
It
the
sounds
band
kind
name?
of. It's called Troller.
Cola.
Yeah, it's a little. I would say like the new Hexes sound. You can definitely like hear some similarities to the band. He is in, yeah.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. So are you saying that you did like guitar noises and shit like with your voice to him? Like just play it
So
like this,
so
chung 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 chung.
yeah, no, so it's actually. I mean, not all riffs are like that. I mean, some riffs is him coming up with it. Some riffs are like Luca bass player coming up with it. But I would say like I constantly like have a lot of melodies. Like to take an example, I remember like one melody we used on the album was like one day I was on my way home on the train and I got this melody in my head and I really didn't want to forget it. So I went to the bathroom at the toilet and was singing the melody into my phone. And then when we made up, I was just singing it for him, and he translated into a riff. At first, then I guess a lot of the melodies I have is I will say kind of catchy, but that also sometimes means maybe it sounds a little too melodic. So it was kind of like me singing it for him, and he played it on guitar, but it sounded a little too melodic. So him and I think probably also Luca figured out to like twist it around so it sounded a little more dissonant. And so I think that's kind of the thing with Hexis. We want, at least I really want to have a lot of catchy and memorable melodies, but it should also be brutal at the same time, I guess.
No, exactly. You want that hook to like bring people
Yeah.
in and stuff.
Yeah.
I do the same thing actually. If I'm out about and have like a little melody in my head, I absolutely record it on my phone. It's like full of voice memos.
Yeah.
I totally.
I really wish I could play guitar. That will obviously makes it way easier, but I never really had the patience for that. So I guess that's kind of like the singing melody or drum beats or whatever. That's kind of my way to do it, I guess.
Yeah. So Rate Your Music says that you formed the band in 2010. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because they have the lineup like wrong on Rate Your Music, so I wasn't even sure if that was correct. If
Yeah, I mean, I looked at some of the different sites. Also, I saw like some stuff that got mixed up. To take an example, we had a permanent guitarist in the band called Christian. He was with us like 10 years ago. But along the way, we had a live guitarist on like some different tours, and we had another guy called Christian only doing guest vocals. So a lot of these different sides have mixed it up. Like the guy who did get guest vocal on one record plays in the band called LLNN. And that guy have the same name as the permanent guitarist. So some people think that the guitarist Christian from LNN used to be a permanent member of Hexis. So it's all kind of mixed up. But also we had so many different people being involved with this band. So I also understand if people don't really if people kind of mix everything up. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should try to contact some of these different pages and tell them, hey, it's like this and that, just to correct everything. But yeah,
you should perform with like everybody have hoods on or something except for you, just so people have no idea who's actually in the band too. And
yeah. I mean, actually, when we play live, we always play like in complete darkness, only using strobe light. Okay. So in a lot of, I mean, it depends on from venue to venue, but like sometimes you literally just see like some black silhouettes live.
Yeah.
So in some way, yeah, I guess that's kind of in what we're doing.
So how did you get the band together? How did y'all start?
So before this band, then I had another band, like just like me and some friends from my small city hometown. And by the end of that band, then we got like a new drummer, and shortly after that, that whole band just fell apart. So me and that new drummer we got in the old band, we wanted to start something new together. He knew a guitarist, I knew a bass player, and then we found a second guitarist on like a forum for musicians. And then from there, it kind of went on like, I think pretty early on for me, I was very, how do you say it? Like, I really knew what I wanted to do with the band. Like I wanted, to constantly touring and all that. So probably more than the most people want to do. So pretty quickly, a lot of people jumped off, and then new people came in, and yeah, that's kind of how it has been going. And now, we're at a point where we want to tour even more than what we ever have done before. So it's probably not gonna be much easier to find a stable lineup.
Hell yeah, man! Like, are y'all planning on coming to the U.S. and stuff then?
Yeah, that's a plan. Like we want to go there next year. We're not sure like how yet. I mean, we have been talking to some different bands we really like about doing something, but a lot of the bands we're talking to, they're kind of like, yeah, we can do it, but we can only be on the road for maybe 2 weeks or whatever. And I think like for us traveling all the way to the US only for 2 weeks seems a little too short.
No, yeah, that's
So
way too short.
so we are I guess we kind of looking for a band that wants to do a long run, or if we can plan it out, so we maybe do 2 weeks with one band, 2 weeks with another, 2 weeks with a third band.
Right.
Because going to the US, like, I mean, one thing is traveling there, but all the thing with being a band from Europe, either you need to pay for an artist visa, or you have to go the way with like flying without an instruments and buying everything over there. It's kind of tricky once you go there. So, but
Uh,
we just like a full month in Canada, literally back in June.
oh, you did. Okay, nice.
We did like yeah, we started around Vancouver, and then we literally draw all the way over to Halifax, and then we ended with flying over to St. John's. So a lot of people told me that it's like the most extended Canadian tour they ever have seen.
Right. You said you did a month in Canada. I can't even
Yeah,
imagine doing like. I figure Canada's like a week or two tops.
yeah. I
So
mean,
like,
I think like it made perfect sense. I mean, like most of the shows we had over there were really nice, and yeah. So like we started in Vancouver, and there was a lot of people, like a lot of places to play all the way over to Halifax, and around Ontario, you can also play so many cities there.
that's sick.
So yeah, we did like a month there. I think we had like one day off, and then we literally played shows every day.
Yeah.
So
Guy couldn't tell you in chat says you guys come anywhere near PA and I'll be there. Pennsylvania. So make sure
we
you hit
we
Pennsylvania.
we played there in 2014 actually. In Yeah, 2014 we toured with we did our 1 month US tour back then with the first 3 weeks with Primitive Man,
Oh
and
shit.
then after
Okay.
and then after that we did 1 week with Pleeping Grandstand and Reproacher, and it was like the last week we did where we played in Philadelphia. So
God
yeah,
damn, that's a lineup, dude, for a fucking tour. Holy shit, that'd be sick.
yeah, it was some really good bands. I mean, back then, Primitive Man was like a way smaller band, and also I've also Pleeping Grandstand was smaller, but yeah, there was like some really cool bands we toured with. So yeah,
Um. So dropped 5 EPs, 2 splits, and 2 other albums, as well as some a whole bunch of singles and such. Your last album was Tondo Ashanti, I guess is how you pronounce it, and
yeah,
that's how you pronounce it, Tondo Ashanti.
yeah, I guess yeah.
Okay, you dropped that back in 2017, and then you did nothing for 5 years, basically.
Yeah.
So what happened with? Why is there such a huge gap?
So I think like the first thing was that we were without a bass, no, a drummer and a guitarist. And back then, our way to write music was, the whole thing like we're jamming through everything. With the new album, we took another approach. We've been writing everything on a computer, which I definitely like way more now. But yeah, I guess like so some members were missing, and we had to figure out like a new way of writing. So there went a couple of years before we found the Dale we could do it with, and also we had so much touring. Like when we released the latest album, we started to tour way more than we have done in the past. So that also made it kind of complicated. And also, I guess now, after the band have been around for so many years, I got way more picky about what I like and what I don't like. So literally for this new album to be totally happy with everything, we literally wrote enough music for 2 albums, and then we have just been cutting it all down to one. So we really could pick and choose what worked. And yeah, I guess like overall we have just been really picky about what we wanted for this one. And then obviously COVID came as well.
Right.
And the bass player in the band, Luca, he lives in Italy. So there was literally 10 months where he not could travel to Denmark, because even if we write on a computer, we want to do it all like in the same room. So there was like 10 months where we didn't write any songs. I mean, I spent these months on doing demo vocals on my own, which have been very helpful as well. But music wise, we had like 10 months where we didn't write anything, and a lot of touring. But yeah, I hope with after this album, I hope it's not gonna take another 5 years.
I hope so too.
Yeah,
But no, I like hearing that y'all are like being more picky and stuff like that, and just like writing more material in general to cut down. Yeah, that shows a lot of dedication and stuff and a lot of like patience to be able to,
Yeah,
you know, chill and it sounds right, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Um so what's different this aside from the lineup obviously, what's
yeah.
different from this album or from Tando Ashanti to this album? What's different this time around?
Mm, I mean,
Like
I said
musically.
before, yeah. I guess maybe yeah, I'm trying to think, but because I mean, obviously, I will say it's very different. Also, a lot of people told me that, but I guess maybe like the new album is maybe more modern in the sound. I mean, both the way we wrote the music, but also the production. Like this guy we recorded the new album with, he recorded all these like old bands like In Flames, Timo Borgia, even like a lot of big albums from like Bring Me the Horizon Architects. So it's definitely like a more modern production, and I think this guy he have really managed it to make everything sound like how we wanted to. But I think like also in some way, I guess you can maybe say that the old Hexis songwriting is a little more punk, maybe in some way. It's a little more primitive and simple, I guess, where I feel like with a lot of the new songs, there's a lot more details to it and maybe more technical as well without really being technical. I guess just feel like everything is better written this time. Also, with the old albums, we never did any demos. We're just like in the practice space jamming. We wrote some songs, went to the studio to record it. This time, we worked so many years for on demos, and as I said, I literally had 10 months on my own just sitting and doing demo vocals, which meant that in some way I feel on this new album, then I actually figured out how to scream in the correct way. On the old albums, I literally just went to the studio, spent the whole first day on just completely fucking up my voice. So, I mean, that was kind of what I wanted to do. So it will sound super harsh, and then I will just scream. But obviously, that's not really how you're supposed to do it. So, like all that time at home, just sitting and doing demos, that actually, I mean, after screaming in bands for 15 years, and I kind of feel like that helped me like figuring out like some kind of technique and making it sound better. I mean, this vocal performance I've been doing on the new album is literally the first time where I'm happy about what I did. Like I never really,
Really? Huh.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It sounds kind of weird. Like why will you spend so many years of your life on playing in a band, and every time when you go to the studio, you're not satisfied about your own performance? But I don't know. For some reason, I did that, and I was never really patient enough to learn to scream in a good way. And we were just touring all the time, so I guess I was just like going on the same routine. Like so, but now I had so much time at home just to do demo vocals, and yeah, I don't know. I guess in some way that just gave me the time to learn not to fuck up my voice when I'm screaming. So yeah.
That's interesting, man. I mean, you've been known
Yeah.
for like, being a vocalist for 12 years now. And you're
Yeah.
saying that you
I
kind
mean,
of like just figured it out
yeah.
within the last 10 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like when we were touring, usually I didn't fuck it up, but that's actually also one thing that's different now. Like when we toured before COVID, like most nights we were just playing for like 20 minutes. So I guess even if I didn't really scream the right way, I never really had too many troubles with my voice on tour.
Okay.
Now we play double as long. I actually play like 40-minute sets, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, but yeah, I mean, like, I guess also like vocal wise, I just try to take another approach to it now. I mean, I will say like now actually with the new way I'm screaming, I scream with like less volume, so I maybe rely a little more on actually being able to hear myself when we play live. Sometimes, I mean, you probably know from your band, sometimes you play and you don't have like how to say like monitors or whatever if you play like a small DIY space.
Yeah.
But so sometimes, with these kind of shows now, I can struggle a little more because I scream with like less volume. So if not can hear myself, I tends to do something wrong. But if I just can hear myself, I guess I can control it the way I want it to, and it's all good.
That's interesting. You bring up like touring and stuff with the vocals. I didn't even think about that angle. Like whenever I was going out for like 8 or 9 day runs or whatever, after the fifth day, because I fucking wasn't screaming right either. After the
Yeah,
fifth day, my voice is just gone, man. Like people are
yeah.
asking me like, does it hurt to talk and stuff like that because it's just like static sounding coming out of my mouth, right? So
Yeah.
like that doesn't happen to you then whenever you were doing it the wrong way.
So nah, I mean, it was more like I don't know, like in the studio, as I said, like I tend to do, I mean, kind of just fucking up my voice, but that was kind of the way with the vocals, I wanted, I guess, like a lot of the vocals I wanted to do, like in the earlier years, just wanted to make it sound as harsh as I could,
Uh
but
huh.
yeah, I still never really learned it to do it the right way. I guess now, a lot of the vocalists I'm inspired by, it's more like how to say like more deeper vocal sounds. So I
Okay.
tried to experiment with that and I just figured out like for me to make that sounds good or whatever, then I needed to scream with less volume. I mean, even when we was in the studio now to record the new album, something I noticed was like every time when some of my favorite parts were coming, then I tend to push my voice more because I got really
Oh yeah, you get
excited.
excited, yeah.
And yeah, and all these parts sounded less good because I figured out like if I'm screaming louder, it actually it just sounded worse for some reason.
Yeah, I guess
So
you're like fuck the technique or whatever. Like I'm excited, I'm gonna
yeah,
scream.
but
I got
so
you.
I really have to like some of my favorite parts where I was really fucking stoked. Um, I really have to constantly have this voice in my head. Don't scream too loud. Take it a little down and blah blah blah. It's kind of weird, For some reason, I always thought like, oh, just scream as loud as you can. But I figured out for me, like, and also I guess for a lot of other vocalists, and I mean, it just sounds better if you scream with less volume. Then it's easier to control it and make it sound powerful or whatever. I mean, I still have a lot of stuff to learn with my voice, but I definitely feel like these 10 months home because of COVID have been like probably the biggest learning experience ever for me vocal wise.
Dude, hell yeah, man. I feel like I've done like the same kind of learning process as you over like the past couple of months. Because
Yeah,
I was terrified of losing my voice on this last tour that I did, and ended up like changing the way I do it and trying to figure out an actual technique, just like you were doing. And yeah, man,
yeah,
like that's exactly the type of stuff I've been experiencing. So yeah, I get.
yeah. But it's so weird, like, when I play live, I try to move as much around as I can. So, and when I do that, it kind of feels weird that, you try to use all your energy, but at the same time, you're trying to holding back with like how
Right.
loud you scream. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's weird to me. I guess I still need some more time to kind of figure out that going hard with my body and then trying to relax a little with my voice. But yeah,
Dude, no, that's exactly right. That's totally what it
yeah,
is. That's hilarious.
yeah.
Uh, Guy couldn't tell you in chat says Eternum is a killer album, but your vocal performance is definitely a highlight.
Oh,
I agree
thanks.
too. I feel like this is like music kind of like built around your vocals, if that makes sense. You
Okay,
definitely make
yeah,
like the
I'm happy
center.
for that. Like as I said, like this new album is literally the first time I ever have recorded something where I'm happy about my own performance. So I'm happy that people like it. So,
So what would you label your music as?
um, I don't know. I mean, I guess we always called it like a mix of hardcore and black metal with some sludge and post metal elements. But with this new album, I mean, we definitely took in a lot of new inspirations. Like, we played around with a lot of like ambient sounds, and I mean, literally some of the guitar riff you have on the album. I guess if you played it more in a kind of chuck way, it could actually work perfect for like a slam or beatdown band. But we play it like in tremolo picking, so and that works for us. So I guess in some way, actually, I mean, I personally I listen to a lot of how to say like stupid beatdown, whatever, ignorant stuff. So probably a lot of the melodies I came up with was from listening to that. So take like a beatdown riff and then just tremolo picking it, and then it works in. And I guess also like with a lot of my new vocal performance, like a lot of the bands I listen to nowadays is like, I like a lot of the newer metalcore bands actually coming out and a lot of SoundCloud rap. So in some way, without thinking too much about it, I guess some of the new vocal patterns, I guess, was actually inspired by more like rap-ish stuff, if you can say it like that way.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah,
I that was actually pretty much what I was gonna say. First time
yeah,
I listened to the album, I was like, "Oh, this is like mainly just black metal and death metal now." And then like I listened to it again, I'm like, "Dude, actually, this like kind of slaps like a hardcore beat or whatever." So like I
yeah,
totally like hear that now. Although I feel like it is slanting more towards like black metal and like grindcore esque type of stuff. But you definitely hear
yeah,
like the hardcore stuff. Along with it as well. One of the big changes I noticed is that it's the production or whatever, like you were mentioning before. It sounds fucking gigantic now. It
yeah,
almost sounds like maybe I'm wanting things to be where they are, or wanting things to be like wanting something to be there that isn't there. But it kind of sounds like there's some symphonics happening in the background. Is that a
yeah.
thing
So
or?
yeah, it is. Yeah. So yeah, we were playing around with like some orchestra-ish stuff.
Okay.
Actually, I mean, it's all programmed for. We actually talked about on the new album. Maybe we should hire in a whole orchestra to do the whole thing. But then Frederick, the guy we recorded with, he said that he did some albums in the past, like as I said, like he recorded some Bring Me the Horizon albums, and I think on one of the albums he did with them, they were using both like a real orchestra and also like a program thing. And he actually told me that he think the program thing turned out way better. So he suggested for us, let's just do it that way. The only thing you hear that is kind of real with orchestra-ish stuff on album is so the drummer we had recording, Felix, his girlfriend. I don't want to try to pronounce her name because I'm probably gonna say it wrong. But um, yeah, his girlfriend were like recording some guest vocals on the song Ex Area we have on the album. So she was like singing on the last part, and we played around with that. So she's doing like some different sound with her voices, and also like singing on top of some of the vocals I'm doing.
Okay. I didn't realize that y'all had like guests and stuff on the album. Did you have like other
Yeah,
guests too?
not only this one. I mean,
Okay.
we talked a little about having some more people, but I don't know. Like, yeah, we ended up just with this. Yeah,
Well, that's sick though. I really like the addition of like the symphonic stuff. It just makes it sound that much like heavier, I guess, and more
yeah,
and bigger. You know what I mean? It'd
yeah.
be really fucking cool to hear like an actual orchestra playing with you guys next time, like on the next
Yeah,
album.
like I mean, I would like to try to do something like that, but it will also be like I guess a lot of work to try to do it
Right.
that way. Yeah, maybe we'll do it someday.
Even if it's just like the MIDI stuff that you were talking about, like programmed or whatever, like that'd be sick.
Yeah,
That'd be sick as well, man. Like
yeah. I mean,
making like
like when we,
a bigger feature.
yeah, I mean when we play live now, we actually use a backing track, so we have everything with us live. Uh, I mean, I guess some of the new songs could definitely work live without it, but to take an example, like that song Exaria, there's so much orchestra stuff going on. So if we play without it live, it almost sounds like a different song.
Right, right. And like,
Yeah,
who cares if it's like real or not? Like,
yeah. I mean,
it's still sick as fuck, man. Like, especially like
yeah,
my music or whatever. I have a huge backing track behind me the whole time, you
yeah.
know. So like, dude, like just go all in on it. Make it a big feature. It's great.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess like years back, I used to be kind of like, it's kind of fake with the backing track and blah
Right,
blah blah.
right.
But I don't know now. I guess like how I look at it, it's just like I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter. I mean, as long as it sounds sick, then whatever.
No, yeah, there's still people also like that, like, oh, if you can't play it live, don't do it or whatever. But like,
Yeah,
you go look at like a pop artist or like a rapper or something, like they don't have people making the
yeah,
beat behind them. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah, for
what?
sure.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah. So yeah, for sure.
So what are some of your influences going into this? You were mentioning like SoundCloud rap and stuff like that, but like if that is a huge influence, then cool. But like, what are
Yeah,
like, the bands you're listening to?
so probably one of my new favorite band is a band from Oklahoma in the US called Opham. It's kind of like I don't even know how to put it. I guess you can call it metalcore with some deathcore slam influences, and like there's two vocalists in this band. They all used to play in a band called Strangled, which is more like, yeah, I guess just straight up old school sounding deathcore probably. But like what these two guys do with the vocals is so fucking crazy. I mean, it's literally for me, it's yeah, probably some of my favorite things at the moment. And I mean, these two guys technically is a million times better than I am, but I guess I still try to take a little inspiration for them in some way.
Yeah.
And then I guess also like another band which I really really like is Jesus Peace.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, so like the singer from that band, I really like his vocal. So I guess like with some of the more deep vocal I did on the new album, I tried to probably copy a little his sound in some way. But again, he's also a million times better than me. So it's just like I guess it's not like the people I'm inspired by. It's not like I'm sounding like them, but I'm probably trying to, I guess, in some way.
Yeah. You definitely need to send me a link to that band in Oklahoma. I definitely want to check that
Yeah.
out. Never heard of them before. But
Yeah.
what about like musically speaking, like outside of like the vocals and stuff? What are like your big influences right now?
It's hard to say. I mean, like definitely when we started the band, like Celeste for sure, Celeste from France. It's
I'm not
like
familiar.
okay, but they were a biggest inspiration, and I really still love that band for sure. But I feel like with this new album, we definitely wanted to try to take inspiration from somewhere else. I don't know. I'm trying to think like, I mean, which bands have we taken inspiration from? I feel like in some way, like we just try to progress on the old sound, but then adding in a lot of different elements. So I don't know. It kind of feel like with the old albums we did, I could more like point out like, oh yeah, we were inspired by this and that band. But with this new one, I don't know. It's yeah. I can't really. I mean, besides the bands I just mentoring vocal wise, then I cannot really think too much of like some specific bands, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's fair. You're just trying to make like more original stuff, push the sound.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess, obviously when you're listening to Hexis, you can definitely still hear like a big inspiration from Celeste, but I think that more comes from the sound that we tried to build many years ago, which we of course still are trying to keep now because we still wanted, even if a lot of new people is coming in and out of this band, then we of course we still try and we still trying to like go in new directions. We still want to keep uh, something from the old sound because I feel like if we will completely change the sound and it didn't sound like the same band anymore, then it will not really make so much sense to still call it Hexes, I guess. So
So I couldn't find the lyrics anywhere. I guess because the album just dropped or whatever. What are the lyrics about?
so the lyrics is about, I mean, it's kind of like a mix of some personal feelings, and it's also a mix about this kind of, how to say, like nightmare-ish story in some way. Like, so like the old albums we did were kind of based about these exorcism stories. And I wanted to try to build a little more around that also in the new album, but also try to check in some of my personal feelings. So I guess it's kind of like, what would be a good way to explain it? Like, kind of being in this nightmare-ish world and feeling, I guess, kind of hopeless, sad, and yeah, I
So it's like
don't,
a
yeah,
horror like story kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. I guess kind of, yeah. In some way, I guess you can say like that. Kind of like being inside of a nightmare and just feeling like there's no way out by then, I guess, in some way.
So it's
So
like
I
just
try.
like a metaphor for like actual life or whatever. I guess.
Oh, what's on?
Is it like a metaphor for like the way you feel like about life in general? I guess or
Yeah, I guess so. Like, I mean, I think like in general, like I'm a very happy person. So usually I have very, I'm usually looking very positive at most stuff. But I'll say like, especially throughout the whole COVID thing, I guess most people at that point had some really bad times in their life. So yeah, I said like I'm a very happy person in general. So usually it's very hard for me to write like negative lyrics. So I tried like every time when I felt like shit, I guess, then I tried to write some stuff there. So that
okay.
is kind of like some of my, I guess sometimes when I had like some darker thoughts, then that was like when I was writing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, because like, I love a lot of dark stuff, but in general, like I'm a happy person, so it's also very hard for me to write lyrics because to write something I'm happy about, I also have to feel like shit, I guess.
Yeah. Huh.
So
Did you write the lyrics after you wrote the music, or did you write it before the music?
some of the lyrics I wrote before, and some of them was after.
Okay. Oh, because you were
Like
saying that you just like whenever you feel bad, you would write lyrics. So I figure if you
yeah,
felt bad, you didn't have music to write them to. Like if you would just like start like writing randomly.
yeah. I mean, like usually, like even after we recorded the new album, like every time when I'm like, let's say I'm not, let's say I'm not feeling well or something, then I try to write a little down, and then maybe you have a pretty good chunk of lines or whatever, and then when you have the music, you try to put it in, but maybe you're missing a few lines. So like with some songs, it was stuff that was written before, and maybe the last part of the song were like written after.
Yeah, you write like
But
fragments or whatever. That makes
yeah,
sense.
but I feel like definitely, I mean, obviously the whole COVID thing sucked, but in some way, like I also feel like if it wasn't for COVID, like, obviously a lot less bad things will have been going on in my life. So in some way, I'm happy about COVID in that case, because I don't think I will have been ending up writing a lot of the stuff I've done if it not was for COVID. I know it sounds a little weird to say, but
No, I totally
yeah,
understand that, and I completely agree. I'm the same way.
yeah,
I actually really enjoyed the
yeah,
lockdown.
yeah, yeah.
So we have your album art up on screen now. I don't think you can see it. What are we looking at exactly? Like a snake on a cross? What does that like
Yeah.
mean to you? What does it like have to do with the album?
So like that picture is also like inside of the Divinitas music video we made.
Mhm.
And we recorded that part with the snake on the cross, and we also went to Hill of Crosses in Lithuania and filmed a lot. And I think like in some way, like everything you see in the music video, and also if you look at the LP, you can see all the pictures. I guess that was more like, I said like the whole lyrics were based around this kind of like nightmarish world. And I guess that was kind of what I'm imagining in my head, that whole nightmare will look like in some way.
Mm. Oh, like the
So
graveyard from the video or whatever. Like that's kind of
yeah,
like the thing. Okay, that
yeah.
makes sense.
Like I mean, obviously, if you go out and see that place in real life, around it, everything looks normal. But we try to just film that area. So I guess what I'm imagining is like walking around in this endless, how to say, like, yeah, darkness, nightmare-ish world. I guess like in general, like also with every time when I've been writing lyrics and trying to come up with art, I always wanted to be, what would be the right word to use, kind of abstract. I guess like sometimes if, let's say I write a lyrics also and it's too easy to understand, then I kind of don't like it. I want to do some stuff, and then when I look back at it, I'm kind of like, okay, what exactly did I have in mind? Me, I kind of like stuff that is, I guess, a little blurry and not too easy to understand sometimes.
Like the movements with like the hands and stuff like that in the music video.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess maybe I'm a little hipster that like artsy stuff or whatever. I don't know.
No, that's fucking awesome, man. Actually, we're playing the video right now. I think it's awesome. I think it looks really fucking cool. But yeah, like little things like the hands moving like in weird ways and such. And the
Yeah,
other music video that you guys did, the shorter one. I don't remember what song it was for now, but that one had a lot of like weird hand movement in
yeah,
it.
yeah. Actually, the other, so the Divinitas music video, that was kind of like all my ideas how we should do everything. But the other one in Nunkium, that was, I mean, personally, I was completely out of ideas for another music video. So everything you see in that one is just like, the guys we did the music video with, the whole storyline and what there should be in it was all their idea. So
Okay.
everything there was, yeah, that was just stuff from their mind.
What artists were you working with for it?
So we work with two guys from Finland. They have a company called, I'm not sure if I'm gonna spell it correctly, say it correctly, but Revata Visuals. They
Okay.
also did some music videos from Humanity's Last Breath from
Oh,
Sweden,
sick. Okay.
and also some bigger bands like Fear Factory and stuff like that. But yeah, they're like super pro, and yeah, they saw some of the videos he had done, like the Humanity videos, and I feel like the visuals he came up with in these videos was really fucking good. So we just contacted them. So first we flew to Finland to meet up with them, where we filmed all the stuff with all the crosses, and then we went straight to the studio to record the album in in Sweden. Yes, we started in Lithuania, Sweden, and then we flew to Finland to record the band performance. And then after we went home, then we recorded the cross with the snake and all that.
Well, damn, dude. That's crazy that y'all are able to put that much like expense into like flying around and recording
Yeah,
and stuff
like
like
it
that. That's
was.
sick.
I mean, both
Doing
the
it all the right
recording.
way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, both the recordings and the music videos. We have never spent this much time and money on anything before.
Right.
So I'm kind of happy to see like a lot of people saying that they think that this is like the best work we've done yet, because it have been really expensive and really time consuming to achieve what we wanted for this new album.
Well, it
So I'm happy.
definitely it is your best work so far, as far as I can tell. And people seem to agree, man, because this video just showed it's sitting at 47.5K views, which is fucking wild, dude. That's like a huge number for extreme metal. So,
Okay.
congrats, dude. Like, holy
A-
shit.
As I
And
told you earlier, I'm so bad at like all this. Okay, what is good streaming numbers and what is bad streaming numbers? Like, I mean, obviously, a lot of my friends' bands like they have a lot more streaming numbers than we have, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just happy about the response we got on all the new stuff for sure.
I think y'all are doing really well. What was it? We were looking at it right before this. It was like probably 6.5K streams day one, and over 1,000 people listening to it on just the first day. Like, that's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
y'all are doing really well, man.
Okay.
Yeah. um. So, yeah, you were telling me you're going on tour in 3 days. So,
Yeah.
where you headed?
So we are going around like most of Europe, like gonna start out in Germany, then going through Netherlands, Belgium, France, Spain, Portugal, and then after that, gonna play Italy, and then a lot of the eastern countries, all the way down to Greece, Turkey, and then go up through Bulgaria, Romania, and do some more Germany. And they will play like I guess most countries around Europe except for some of the Baltic countries, and then we're also skipping the UK as well. So
Yeah, sick. How long is that tour?
9 weeks.
9 weeks. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ,
So
dude.
it's
All
it's
right.
actually the dates are actually, I mean, most of the dates are like postponed. We were supposed to play these shows like back in January, February.
Uh huh.
We were actually supposed to originally doing a tour going on for 3.5 months, I think, 100 dates.
God
But
damn, dude. Holy.
yeah, so but then COVID canceled all the January, February dates, so we moved them. And then back early in the year, we are kind of lucky. So like that's sure we had to postpone the first 2 months, but we still ended up going on tour from start of March. That was kind of like where everything opened up again. I remember like the first date we had on the tour back in back early in the year that we played in Kiel. That exact same day as we played that date, that was the first date was allowed to do concerts again. So we were
Oh,
like the
nice.
first. Yeah, so yeah, the original plan was to do 3.5 months straight, but then we did 5 weeks, and now we are doing the postponed 9 weeks.
How long was the longest tour that you've been on? So
The longest one was 109 days. That
holy
was
shit, dude. You have to
uh,
be destroyed after that. Like, this is no shot.
actually actually it's kind of funny because yeah, I mean I understand that a lot of people look at it like that, but to say an example, like we played a release party 2 days ago. And yesterday I felt fine, but today my whole fucking body hurts because, like, I haven't played a show in 6 weeks, so I guess I was kind of rusty. But like being on the road, I kind of feel like, you go out there and you do it every day, and your voice, your body, everything just get used to it. I feel like as soon as you have been out there for a week, I can kind of go on forever. I
Okay.
mean, I guess it's also something with the mindset, of course, if when you know in advance, like, oh, in 6 months, then I'm gonna be on the road for 3 months, then I'm just like, okay, that's how it's gonna be. And I enjoy to perform way more because it's just like when you do it every day, you're just more used to it. Usually
Right.
playing, like, let's say just to go out and do a weekend or something like that, I usually don't like it because I just know that we usually don't play and perform as well as when we're out doing a longer tour. It
Okay.
usually feels like when we do a tour, then the first, second, and third date is more like the warm up for us to really get into the whole mood.
Right, right. You figure out exactly what you want to be like,
Yeah,
how you want to perform the show or whatever.
yeah,
That
exactly. Like,
makes perfect sense.
also, like, if I haven't played a show for a long time, I kind of tends to feel a little nervous before I'm playing, which I fucking hate. It's
Me
the
too.
worst.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah,
Yeah.
but as soon as you're out there doing it every day, I mean, I remember that show, I mentioned it for you before. It was like 109 days, and one date we had on that show, we played at Brutal Assault in a
Ooh,
festival in Czech
nice.
Republic. And I think it's probably like the biggest crowd we ever have played for. Like, maybe we played, I think, for 3,000 people. And I remember even 5 minutes before we played, I was just sitting and checking Instagram, whatever. It's just like, what I'm trying to say is that even if I was going to play for thousands of people, I didn't feel nervous at all. It was like easy. But then I remember, like, in 2020, I hadn't played a show for 10 months, and we were going to play the first show after that long, just in front of 80 people. And I was almost shitting my pants because I was so nervous.
Yeah, man. I
Like,
totally know what you're
it
saying.
was really like, it was so weird for me because, like, after, I'm used to playing shows all the time, and then I had a 10 months break, and we had to play again. And I literally felt horrible before. I didn't enjoy it at all because I was so fucking nervous. So that's also, I think that also has something to do with like the whole thing of, like, I just want to play all the time because I know if I have too many long breaks, then I just perform less good. And I guess also as a person, I'm kind of critical on myself. Like, if I'm not doing a good job, then I'm being really, how to say, like, mad at myself. So I guess, like, first of all, I enjoy to tour and play a lot of shows, but if I'm gonna do it, I would want to feel that I'm doing a good job, and that's only gonna happening if I'm playing a lot of shows. So
Hey, that's awesome, man. I feel like I can relate so much, like what you're saying, like just
yeah,
everything. Um, Whenever you're touring, do you take certain days off? Like a lot of bands will take Mondays and Thursdays off. Do you do that, or are you constantly trying to play a show every night?
we try to do it every night. Like this show we're gonna do now, we have shows every day, and
Jeez, for how long? You said like 9 weeks. You're gonna be doing
yeah,
that?
yeah. But I don't know, like, yeah, I mean, I understand if people think it's crazy and all that, but I don't know, like, I just like to do stuff every day. And I guess also, like, the economic aspect in it, like, obviously, if you take a day off,
True.
then, then you have to sort food, drinks, accommodation by yourself, no money from the shows, no merch sell, and, you still have to pay for the van. We don't have our own van, so we every time when we go on tour, like, we rent a van, so we have this daily coasters that we have to play. And even on the next tour we are doing now, besides the band, then we also bring a driver along as well. So it's like, daily coasters of van and driver. So we prefer just to do it every day. But actually, to take an example, the first show we're going to do next year, we're actually going to go to Mexico for a couple of weeks. And over there, it's literally I mean, you could probably play on a Monday or whatever, but uh, over there we're gonna have, I think, 2 off days a week, because in Europe, let's say you play in, let's say, Leipzig, Prague, whatever, some of the good cities in Europe, you can play there whatever day of the week, and the show gonna be fucking sick. Like, I mean, if you play in Leipzig on a Monday, you're still probably gonna have at least 50, 60 people showing up. But over in Mexico, what they told me is that if you're gonna play there on a Monday, in pretty much whatever city, you're gonna play for a very small crowd if you're not a big band.
Right.
So the booker over there, he said like, let's take off the first 2 days every week.
Okay.
So I mean, I will probably have been preferring to play shows every day, but at the same time, I mean, I think it's kind of boring to have days off in Germany or Belgium or whatever. I mean, what I'm gonna do there,
No,
sit in the
that
town.
makes a lot of sense too. Like
But
in
like
Europe, all the cities are like pretty close to each other, so it makes
yeah,
sense to not
but
have
like,
off days.
but I mean, like actually having off days in Mexico, I think that's gonna be pretty sick. Like, probably gonna spend some time at the beach
Right.
and so yeah, I mean, if I should do a tour where we're taking days off, I would definitely say like around South America. That's an okay place to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's pretty. So you've played a fuck ton of shows. Obviously, what's the best show you played?
the best show I ever played. Actually, okay, this is a funny story because I know you had Victor on from Ice and Sellers,
Hmm.
and he used to play in Hexis, and I remember that was actually where I heard about your show,
Okay.
and I think the story I'm about to tell now is actually the same story as Victor told you because yeah, so Victor from Ice, he used to play in Hexes from 2010 to 2018. And I would say the craziest show I ever played was when me and him we played together. We did this 2 months to around Asia. I think he told you the whole story about that one as well.
Right. Right. It's
And
been a minute though, so I don't mind hearing it again.
yeah, but yeah, so we did this 2 months to around Asia, and like we had a whole month only in Indonesia. And one of the shows we played over there was in a smaller city, like 1 hour from Makassar. It's like an Indonesian island. We played over there, and we played this house show up in the mountains, like a small house. I think the people had just rented it,
That's
and I think there have been space for like I don't know 80 people, but I think 150 or 200 people came out. So it was so packed, like behind a drummer that was just full of people, and the whole room was so cramped, like people hanging out of the windows. And we started playing, and I think like a half minute into the first song, I looked up and like 5 or 6 people crowd surfing, and one guy he floated directly with his head down in the drum set, and the whole drum set just fell apart. So we had to build it up again. And I remember like this is the fucking sickest thing I've ever tried. This is so fucking cool. I mean, obviously, everything was one big mess, and I don't think the sound was super good. I also remember like my mic was constantly cutting out because the cable was shitty or whatever.
right.
So I mean, sound wise it was not super good, but just playing that show that was so fucking rowdy, and that's just what I love. I mean,
Hell yeah,
I
man.
feel like I personally, I love to go to all that Hate 56 page on YouTube and watching all these crazy videos from This Is Hardcore or whatever. So even if our show not is as crazy as a lot of that, then I think just for me, like playing a show which was all over the place was just what I really needed. Because a lot of the shows we play with Hexes, we, as I told you earlier, we play in darkness with strobe and all that. And I feel, obviously that makes the whole thing very intense. But I also feel that a lot of the shows where we play, like people don't really know how to act or whatever at the show. So a lot of them just stand like this and look. And I mean, of course, I appreciate it and all that.
Right,
But
and you're like, oh, are
I,
you actually enjoying this, or do you fucking hate it? Right? Like,
yeah,
yeah, dude, totally.
I kind of like when we play like to have a crowd which put all the energy into it, because I kind of feel like when you play, if people are moving around and giving you a lot of energy, that kind of fuel me to give it even more. But I get it. I mean, like, I guess, with the whole mix of music we do with Hexes, it's not that, we are not really a hardcore band. We are not really a black metal band. We are not really a sluts band. So I guess it's just like with the genres we decided to mix together, then I guess it's kind of hard to put the band like, okay, how are you going to act to this band live?
Right, right. It's like, where's like
But
the mosh part or whatever? You know what
yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, that
I,
makes so much sense.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
exactly
I
how people
kind of,
react to me too. And like, I totally
yeah,
get it, man. Yeah, you're just like, oh, do
yeah,
you like this or?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess like your band is like grind, mathcore, or what? How do you describe it? Like,
I guess, yeah. Like I've
yeah,
been saying, I have no idea what label to really put
yeah,
on it, but yeah, dude, I totally understand what you're saying. That must have been
yeah.
fucking insane, though. Just like a house out up in the mountains. Does like that sounds awesome, man. Like,
Yeah,
It's a sick
I remember
experience.
at first. I remember like at first when we arrived there, because I mean, as I said, like it was not even in like the big town in that at that island. It was literally 1 hour way up in the mountain, so it's literally not really many people living there. So I guess these 150 or 200 people were literally like, I remember something I remember from Indonesia was like a lot of people were driving at scooters. So I think like a lot of the shows we played, like you would look outside of the venue, as like 50 scooters packed in front of the venue. So I think people did just driving up with the scooters up in the mountain. And then I remember like a lot of people that took a lot of drugs, and it was kind of crazy in there. And but yeah,
Did they have like local bands and stuff you could play with?
a lot of local bands. Like literally every show you play over there, it's you and 8 local bands.
Really? Okay, that's
Yeah,
sick.
yeah. But it's so crazy over there, because it could, a normal night in Indonesia could maybe be it's you, and you announce with, let's say it's you and 9 other bands. Then the show starts, and then it's pretty normal that at least 1 or 2 bands doesn't even show up for no reason. So maybe they're supposed to play 10 bands, and then 2 bands just never show up. And then the order of bands can also very easily be moved around. I remember that house that I mentioned before. I think we were supposed to play as band number, I can't remember what number it was, but then literally just randomly the promoter came over and said like, "Oh, now you are playing, instead of playing as band number 7, now you're playing as band number 4, so you have to be ready in 20 minutes," which was sometimes a little annoying, because I mean, how I usually do when I tour is that I try not to eat, let's say, 3 to 4 hours before I play, because I hate to play shows and do vocals if I'm feeling really full.
Right.
But also, I kind of don't like to do it if I'm feeling really fucking hungry. So I kind of like to know when I'm playing, so I kind of can
Okay.
figure out like when I should eat and when I should do that. So, but yeah, like a lot of the shows is just like you're expecting to play in 3 hours, and then oh, now you're playing in 20 minutes. But yeah, but I mean, even if it sounds pretty extreme with all these that many bands playing every day, I mean, at least a good thing is that the majority of the bands playing were just playing for like 15 to 20 minutes, and bands are using the same gear. The thing is that Indonesia is a pretty poor country,
Mm.
so a lot of these kids don't even own their own guitar or anything. So it's
Okay.
normal that when you have a show, like all the bands use the same guitar, same bass, same cymbals. So let's
That's
say
crazy.
maybe a band play for 15 minutes, and then there's like a 2 minutes changeover. So it's literally just one band playing and the next band just take over on the instruments. So
That's sick. That's so cool, man.
yeah,
I was interviewing a band from India, Man Eating Orchid, and they were talking about how they don't have like their own amps and stuff either. That it's like
yeah,
expected that the venue provides like amps and stuff like that. It's
yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, I guess like, it's just very different. Like, I know in every time when we toured in the US, something I was very surprised about the first time is that over there, like, bands don't even share cabinets, anything like that.
Oh
So
yeah. Well,
sometimes,
like it depends how big the show is. Sometimes there's like a
yeah.
backline or whatever.
But I just remember, like, as I told you, like, we did that tour with Primitive Man back then. And I remember one show we played, there was literally, I think it was like 3 or 4 MPEGs 8x10 caps in front of each other, the exact same caps. And it's just like, yeah, okay. I mean, I guess I understand maybe people are scared of other, like, people like destroying the stuff, but it just looks so extreme. I mean, it was not a super small venue, but it's not like a super huge one either. So it just looks so ironic to see all these exact same caps just being lined up in front of each other.
Yeah, yeah. American excess, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like how it works in Europe is like, bands usually share backline, but then, you still bring your own amp and obviously your own guitar and bass and all that. But yeah, I guess just like different cultures or whatever.
Right. I would say if the show's like bigger than 4 bands, there's usually a back line. But if there's like
Yeah.
4 bands, they probably don't.
Yeah.
Um. So, what's the worst show you played?
Worst show I ever played. Okay, so back in 2014, then we had a tour planned, and a drummer at that time could not make it for the tour. So we had this guy. I'm not gonna say his name. I don't want to put him
Right,
out
right,
on it.
right.
But so we had this guy from another country coming over, and we thought that obviously when a person say that he can play you songs, then you expect him to be able to do it. So he came to Denmark, I think almost a week before, and was practicing every day, and he could not play a single song correct. And then it was like, okay, should we just cancel? But we actually decided to go out and still do it. So we played the first show, and it was so bad. It was so embarrassing. Like, it was just like one big mess.
That sucks, dude.
I mean, at least that we're kind of lucky that only 10 people showed up that night. So there's not too many people who saw it, but it was so bad. But then what that kind of came out of this that was good was that, so obviously after that show, it's like, okay, now we gave it a chance with one show and it doesn't work. So let's cancel the rest of the tour. And like 2 days after that show, we were supposed to meet up with a band, which we will do the remaining tour dates with. So I called them and said like, hey, I explained the situation and we have to cancel because we don't have a drummer now. And then they said like, we might know somebody who can fill in last minute. And then the next day we ended up driving out to meet with a random guy we never met before. And he totally, he was fucking amazing, and he totally owned everything. Like, he learned everything in no time.
That's crazy.
And funnily enough, this is like back in 2014. And that guy, he recorded the new album we just did now and just played the release party with us and is going on tour with us soon.
Oh, that's
so it's
sick.
kind of funny, So sometimes, you go through some really shitty things, but sometimes these kind of things can lead you to some really nice things.
Oh, that's fucking
but,
sick.
But yeah, that whole experience with that drummer, that also meant that after we had that whole experience, like every time when we have to try out new people, we are always telling them, send us a video of you playing 2 or 3 songs, just so we're never gonna end up in a shitty situation like that again. Because I never wanna like meet up with a person who apparently don't have any idea of what he or she is able to do, and then
right.
Yeah, so
and you like are relying on them to like actually like do it, and you go to like a big show.
I kind of don't get it. I mean, if I was offering a band to help them out and fill in, then of course, I mean, why will I contact a band where I'm not able to play the music? That's just like, I guess, like disrespect.
Wouldn't they be embarrassed? You know what I mean? Like I would be embarrassed to try to like play like some band.
Yeah, like I mean, literally, you travel all the way to another country and then you cannot even play a single song. That's just like, I mean, I guess sometimes people just need to have a better picture of what they're able to do and what they're not able to do.
Yeah, I guess so. So you have vinyl, tapes, shirts, hoodies, windbreakers, beanies, bags, keychains, CDs, and flags, all available on your Bandcamp. That's an insane merch spread. I gotta ask, huh?
I was just about to say, we actually got even more stuff now. We even got swim shorts the other day and stuff.
No shit. That's fucking sick, dude. Oh, it's so sick. How have like tote bags been selling? Every European band I talk to, they have tote bags, but it's not a thing in America. So do the bags sell well? I've been wondering about like, getting into it myself.
I mean, we have actually done a lot of tote bags over the years, and I would say the tote bags we have now is actually selling less good than the previous one we have.
Really?
And I think the reason for that is that the latest tote bags we did, we printed them in white, and I think a lot of people don't want to buy a white bag because obviously that one gonna get dirty really easily. I mean, it's easier to see. So I would say like the previous tote bags we did, which was black, they sold pretty well.
Yeah. Probably the same reason why people don't want like a different colored shirt. Like everybody wants a black shirt or whatever.
Yeah, actually, funnily enough, the release party we just did now, like we got some new long sleeves printed. They're not for sale online yet, but we printed some white and gray long sleeves, and they were actually the merch we sold most that night.
Okay.
So I guess like people still like white and gray if it's like clothing, but I don't know. Like that I mean, we have almost sold out of the tote bag now, but I mean, we printed them in 2019 and we did like 100 of them, so there's, I guess, thinking about that, we had them for more than 3 years now. I mean, they should have been sold out at this point, but I guess because we decided to get white printed instead of black, then that's probably why we still have them laying around.
Interesting.
There's quite a lot of people over at the merch table that ask, "Oh, you don't have this in black?" I'm like, "Nah." So I guess this is the last white tote bag we have printed. Probably just gonna stick to black ones in the future.
Okay. That's fucking cool though, man. I feel like tote bags are like a great way to like make some money because like you don't have to do different sizes and stuff. I feel like they're
Yeah.
relatively cheap. So yeah, good option.
Actually, I would say like economically, I don't think it makes. I mean, it's that smart to do tote bags because it's not that they are a lot cheaper than t-shirts. I mean, they're a little cheaper than shirts, but at the same time, you cannot sell them for as much as a t-shirt, obviously.
Hmm.
So I feel like economically, it's not super smart or whatever, but I feel like it's a cool piece of merch.
Okay.
Actually, something we did which was a little similar, which I think was cooler. We printed these gym sacks. So it's almost like a
Gym
tote bag. But
socks.
yeah, they're like how do you call it? Like it's kind of like a back gym sack. I don't know if I'm
Oh,
spelling.
got you. Yeah, I don't know what you would call that either, but yeah. I get what you're
Yeah.
saying.
But actually, these sold way better than the tote bags were. Probably because there's less bands doing them, and yeah. So I think like after we have sold out of the tote bags, we're probably gonna do some more of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we could wrap this up with your current album of the year.
That's gonna be. So I talked about that band Ophend earlier. They have just released their first album a few months ago, and yeah, I think that's for me definitely the best album released in many years.
Really, this is the band from Oklahoma you were talking about,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Orphan is her name.
Ophend. Yeah.
Huh. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to look. It up.
So I mean, I feel it's a long time ago since I've been this stoked about a band. Like I think last time I discovered a new band that I was this stoked about was probably Celeste, which I also still will love. But that band I discovered back in 2006. So this is like the first time since back then I discovered something new that I'm this stoked about.
Really? Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting. I'm
it's
definitely.
kind of crazy. Like it's very rare that I'm discovering something new. I remember like when I heard the first song from these guys and put it on, I had like a big smile on my face, and it's very rare that is happening for me. Usually, I hear something like, "Oh, this sounds really fucking good," but when I'm starting to get that big smile on my face, then it's really something special. Like that's just like whoa. Then it's something that is over the maximum level or whatever you want to call it.
Huh. That's awesome, man. Well, so is there anything else you want to say before we head on out?
I guess come check us out at the European tour if you live in some of these countries we are playing in, and give the new album a listening and buy the record if you enjoy physical copies as well.
Hell yeah. So if you're looking for that filthy black and hardcore, you need to check out Aeternum, the new album from Hexis, which dropped last Friday through Debamir Morty Productions. You're on Facebook, Bandcamp, Instagram, Twitter. Or you're not on Twitter, never mind. Bandcamp, Facebook, Bandcamp, and Instagram, and YouTube, and all streaming platforms. Is there any like website you want to send people to? I don't know if there's a hexis.com. Is there one?
Yeah, so there's a hexisband.net, I think it's called. And that one we just got a new website up and running, so it's like all the tour dates, everything we've released, and we try to keep that one up to date with different things.
Okay. And then does Debamir Morte have different like variants of vinyl and stuff like that than what you have?
Yeah, so there's 3 different vinyl versions. I think one of them is almost sold out now, and then there's 2 different CD versions. I think one of them is sold out, so there's one left, and then 2 different tape versions as well.
Okay, sick. So head on over there and get variants if you're. As for my channel, drop me a follow so you always know when I go live. You can also sub to get access to hit YouTube and other streaming platforms, as well as get some exclusive emotes. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. YouTube folks, if you like the video, please drop a like, tickle the notification bell. Don't forget to subscribe. It's a great way to support me for free. Check out my music, The Sound That Ends Creation, at thesoundthatenscreation.bandcamp.com. My next guest is Jizzy, I guess is how you pronounce it, Jizai, who dropped their new album, Sincerely Leda and Alexis, back in July. Join us this Wednesday, the 31st at 7 p.m. for the live cast. Thanks for being here. Hope you had a good time.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for watching and listening.